things always go wrong in the end. People always turn against me. We're not in here, we're not in the present, and we're certainly not connected to our body. Authenticity is something that we feel. It's not something that we think. Okay, that's got frozen in a trauma place in time, and we've embodied it. If we can have this more connected, then this just automatically stops and slows down. Hello everybody, I'm Catriona Morten. I'm a sensory-motor psychotherapist, and today I'd like to talk to you about why we can't trust our own thoughts and why they don't define us. Before I jump into that, if you're enjoying these videos, give us a like, subscribe to our channel, because it really helps us get our message out there to loads more of you. The things that we think and believe about ourselves, our belief systems, and particularly our negative thoughts, we haven't just made those up. Those have come from outside influences. They've formed from consistent things that we've been told, from experiences that we've had, and just the general messages that we've been getting as we're growing up. And we believe the things that we're told about ourselves because grown-ups know better than we do when we're little. And these can form into some very, very negative belief systems and negative thought patterns that don't serve us well and actually aren't accurate and aren't altogether true. We often keep these thoughts to ourselves. When I'm with someone, a client, and I might give them a probe, a potentially nourishing statement, I can see those thoughts coming up, and I can see the way that they affect the demeanour and the eye contact and the way that the person is in their body. Very often, these thoughts are things that at the beginning, especially, they can't be spoken out loud. We keep them hidden, we keep them to ourselves. We believe these things and we keep them from everyone else. And that's so that we don't get judged, or these things don't get challenged, or we feel great shame about these things that we believe about ourselves, shame about the things that have happened to us. And we internalize all those. We give ourselves a narrative about it. And if things haven't had a good outcome, if we haven't been met and helped and supported and allowed to heal through these things, then we'll internalize those and we'll have those as a belief and a negative thing about ourselves. And when those things get poked, they just come up over and over and over again. The more we stay in our head and allow those things to just play themselves out, then the more we believe them, they become really consistent. If something goes wrong and we blame ourselves and our negative thoughts come up of, oh, I'm really stupid, or things always go wrong in the end, people always turn against me, nothing ever good happens to me, I'm not allowed good things, relationships always end and break, I always get hurt. We'll find evidence. We can go back through the mists of time and we'll look and we'll find evidence that will back that up, because we have to keep those things as beliefs, things that we believe about ourselves. And they just perpetuate. They become so normal and we get so used to them that they're a part of us. In therapy, that's a really good place, even if you can't say them out loud, to kind of listen to what you're saying, listen to what those thoughts are telling you. And it's a really good exercise to go, are they completely and utterly true? Is there any part of you that doesn't wholeheartedly believe that you're a terrible person, that people will be disgusted if they knew these dark places inside of you? Even if in the beginning it's no, it's a 100% fact, I do believe those things about myself. Just questioning that, just allowing that possibility that maybe those things aren't completely accurate now, or they're not true all of the time. Just being able to challenge them and to be curious about them, to think about them. It's like if we do something and we get that, oh, for goodness sake, you're doing. Does that sound like you? Do those words sound like they were somebody else's words? Does that tone, does that voice remind you of anyone? Can you remember those words being spoken to you? Can you remember being made to feel like that? And being able to place where they came from, how they were delivered. Look at the power imbalance, the attachment that's going on. That means that we're diminished and they are bigger and greater than we are. When we can start to follow our thought processes, notice them, be aware of them, maybe even write them down. You know, what comes up when I think about that, or when I say that, or when I do that. Write them down. You know, you can always scrunch them up and put them in the bin, but to bring them from the internal to the external, that can make a huge difference in terms of really looking at them and wondering about them, being curious about them, and even challenging them. These things can very quickly turn into real catastrophizing. You know, something's going wrong. Oh my God, it always goes wrong. And it can spiral. And the more creative and intelligent we are, the better our ability to catastrophize. And the catastrophizing will take us down this terrible road to a place that hasn't even happened yet, or something that maybe happened once and it's definitely going to happen again. We're over there, we're out there, we're not in here, we're not in the present, and we're certainly not connected to our body. When we know that our thoughts are going over and over again, and you know they're just coming at us thick and fast, and we're catastrophizing, guaranteed you are not in connection with your body. And that is vitally important, because how many times do you find yourself out, you're having a good time, you've had a great time socially, and everything's gone well, and you come back and start to pull it to pieces. Maybe I said the wrong thing. I hope they didn't think da-da-da. We can really quickly turn what actually was a perfectly okay, even positive experience into a negative one really, really quickly if we don't catch ourselves. And if we don't allow our body to be a really good measure of what we were picking up, what we were feeling, the cues, the things that we could feel our body reacting to, because that will give you a really good indication of, you know, is this really good? Are there any undercurrents? Your body will pick it up if there are. Did they really mean that? Did it feel authentic? Authenticity is something that we feel. It's not something that we think. We feel someone's authenticity. We feel when those words match the body language and the intention that's coming up. We can't think, well, I mean, we can think an intention, but we pick it up from here. We feel it. These things are experiences. I have people on quite a spectrum of disconnect. Most of the people I work with at some point get very disconnected from their body. When that happens, this goes into overdrive. And while thoughts can be very, very useful, and you know, we need our heads to be able to work things out, we need a balance. We can't have this just running the show, especially if it's in a negative loop or spiral. We've got to be able to bring it back to here. I've had people who pretty much have lived their life. Something might have happened and they literally get frozen in time. And it can show up with someone can't talk about something, or something has happened and they can't go near it. Okay, that's got frozen in a trauma place in time, and we've embodied it. If it's been too awful and too overwhelming, then we disconnect from it. You know, we're all designed to be able to do that. It's in the same place as dissociation. Disconnect from what's happening right here and go somewhere else. Cut off. We're designed to be able to cut off from the body. Now that's great if things are so overwhelming we can't bear it, or a way of disconnecting from pain, or something really uncomfortable or awful is happening to us. but it means that we're not able to process anything, and we're not able to regulate and help our body, and we're not able to heal the felt trauma that shows up in the body. And most trauma does. Most trauma, it might be flashbacks that come up and they're really disturbing, but it's in here that you feel it, that it really has the impact. And so it's really important. I know some people that have spent years just kind of being there, sleepwalking through life, not really being connected. If you can't connect to in here and feel and get a sense of what's going on, then you can't get a sense of someone else either, and the kind of dynamics, things that are going on. And a lot of people that are very traumatized, if that's not picked up, then it can be diagnosed as something else. Everything benefits from finding a way of making that connection, waking the body up. Because if we can have this more connected, then this just automatically stops and slows down. And the things that are coming up, those thoughts, they are not defining who we are in this present moment, what kind of person we are, and then of course what we're going to assume that people think of us. And if people really knew, they wouldn't want anything to do with us. That's not true. And when people have this inner world, this secret inner world, these thoughts, these beliefs, it really impinges, it really makes it difficult for them to show up and be authentic in the moment, because this is just running the show. So we've got to get this involved. We've got to find ways of waking this up, bringing it back, allowing it to communicate to us. There's always easy ways of having a much more present moment experience, being here, feeling like you're a part of things. And that's very, very important. If you are someone that has an awful lot of negative thoughts going on in your head, then we need to be able to break the cycle of those, challenge them, but get a sense of our body. We can't really multitask terribly well. So if we're doing something in our body, if you're tensing muscles, holding them tight and slowly releasing them, it's virtually impossible to be constantly thinking. And when I get people back into the body, I can see their whole nervous system come down. I can see them becoming more present, and I can really tell that they're racing head, or as someone described once, it's like having a washing machine head. It's just like almost, there's so much stuff coming up, they almost can't catch it. That's going to make everything feel chaotic, unsafe, confusing. Got to be able to slow that down, and getting into the body, doing things with the body, with the muscles, tracking sensation, following your breath, whatever it is that's the easiest access route for you, then that's your go-to thing when you feel this starting to whir up and these thoughts and beliefs that are coming up. When things are procedural and unconscious, then they just come up and we barely notice them. And when we can bring them out into the present moment and challenge them and put something else after it, as I've heard a lot of my clients say, if I come from a place of, I hate myself, I'm a horrible person, it's a big ask to just be able to go, I love myself, I'm a lovely person. It's something that kind of challenges it, but is acceptable. It's something that we can comfortably sit with and go, yeah, I can believe that. That one feels okay. That one doesn't bring anything up for me. And that can sound like, I'm good enough, I'm okay. That's a big start. And so when you hear those things coming up, the more conscious, the more observing, the more curious, and the more you can notice, when you really hone those skills. And you can hone those skills by noticing, being curious about what's happening in your body. Just doing a body scan can be a really good way of getting that observer on board. And when you can get that observer on board, then you're going to be in a much better place to notice and observe there's that negative thought again. it will come up. Don't demonize it. Put the, that used to be true, I don't want to believe that anymore. I don't want that to define me anymore. Right in this moment, actually, I'm okay. I might have dropped something, broken something, forgotten something. It doesn't make me a terrible person. The more we can do that, the more we create new neural pathways. We get out of that groove that we're just so used to being in and accustomed to being in. And your therapist can help you with that. You know, I can sometimes just sense a negative thought that's just come up. It's like, did something just show up for you? What came up for you right in this moment? And they can catch it, even if they don't want to say it out loud to me. That's okay. They're catching it, they're observing it. Is there something you could put in after that that softens it, that's different? And the more we do that, the easier and the more procedural that becomes. We can undo old patterns, old habits, old ways of being, but we've got to be able to do it from a connected, observing place so that it's not just our head that we're dealing with. A lot of my clients, they found it very difficult. They can't tolerate anything positive being said to them because it makes them feel so uncomfortable and it jars with what their head is telling them about themselves. When we can soften that and when we can allow just something to come in, it really helps to change that whole process. And using the body is vital in this. It's a huge part of it. And it helps join up that feeling, that the way that that lands, and we can allow that to sink in with a different, softer thought and belief that we have about ourselves. And getting that balance right. So if you're an overthinker, if you're a negative thinker, I hope that this has helped, it's been useful, and it might just get you started on a different journey. So if you've enjoyed this video, give us a like and subscribe to our channel, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Okay, bye.